Okay guys, so welcome to part 4 of my heat sensing series. This week we were working with, or the past few weeks, we were working with 6 LM35DZ sensors instead of just one that my last ER was for. This is Monday night. It got pushed back one night, so with the extra time I had on Sunday, I filmed and recorded myself making my fritzing diagram if you guys wanted to see how I did it. So if you want to watch me make my fritzing diagram, click right here, and I'll go through the new features because there was a new update, and I will record myself making it. Also, I wanted to point out Arduino does have a new download. It is Arduino 1.0. I downloaded this a few days ago. It looks a lot better, the colors are a lot brighter, and it does have a loading bar now. But my code didn't work the same way that it did before, so it really messed up my code. I ended up having to uninstall it and reinstall Arduino 0023. So if you're thinking about getting this, make sure to read the release notes and know what you're getting into. So let's start with my code. Here's my Arduino code. Because we're using 6 sensors now, we have to use every pin in our analog slots for our Arduino. We made an array to easily cycle through each pin. We made a new int called numSensors and sensor. So this code basically stayed the same. However, the analog pins and the sensor changed to let the Arduino know what sensor it's reading. Also, this section is running through the sensor each time through the loop. So if it was 0 here, it would now equal 1 divided by 6. And then the remainder would equal that. So you get 0 equals 1 divided by 6 equals that remainder. So the remainder now equals the new sensor. Nothing dramatic changed in the Arduino, nothing too dramatic compared to the processing sketch. Here are a lot of ints. You're probably wondering that. There's lots of floats, ints, there's a matrix, and an array. Because we used so many ints and floats, it made our code very easy to modify, and really that's what you want to do. So we have the fonts as usual, we have the port names, and then we scale it here, and then we actually draw the graph, and right in here is where we draw the 7th line, which is the average of all the 6 sensors. Also, here is the indicator light, which lets us know if the processing is reading faster than the Arduino is giving data. So when we run it, we get a graph somewhat like this. You can see it is scaled from 10 to 40. And if you look over on the left, you can see that our min temp and max temp is 10 and 40. Right now I have my finger on the blue sensor, so that is analog pin 2, and you can see my body heat is about 26 degrees and my room is about 22. The black line is the average, so that's around 23, 24. If we wanted to rescale the graph, we could stop running this, and we could look over here at our min temp and our max temp, and we could maybe change it to 60 and 15 if you wanted that. We could also change the width to be 800 and the height to be 600. So we changed 4 things, and our entire graph will reform itself to the specifications that we wanted. Here you can see that it now runs from 15 to 60, and the window is much larger than it was before. Over in the top left corner here, this red and green flashing dot, you can see that it is staying red more than it is green, which is what we want, because if processing is reading the Arduino and nothing's there, that is a lot better than it always trying to catch up, because you'll have a slower delay when you put your finger on the sensor. So again, my finger is on sensor A2, and you can see the teal line varying. The average also changes a little bit, but because I'm only touching one sensor, it really just stays the same. So now I have my finger on the purple sensor as well as the yellow sensor. So because I have my finger on two sensors, the average changes a fair amount more. If you're at all wondering what my breadboard setup looks like, I will show you right now. So here's what my breadboard looks like. Okay guys, so this is my breadboard setup for my LM35DZ. I apologize for the shakiness because I'm holding the camera, but this is what it looks like from afar. I am using a triple breadboard. I know that's different from my fritzing diagram, but it was easier in real life to use a triple breadboard. So the main thing I'm doing here with this is that if you were to look at my Arduino over here, this red wire, this is power, and this navy blue wire is ground. And I fed the power to all of these red bars, so it runs across the whole breadboard. And then I fed the ground to these ground lines over here. So what I'm doing with this brown wire is I'm pulling, I'll pull these out of the way. I'm pulling the ground with the brown wire to this leg of the LM35DZ. And then with this orange wire, I'm pulling it from the power over here. You can see that, it's right beside the power. Pulling that to the other leg of the LM35DZ. And then I'm taking this brown wire, which is right in the middle, and it's the analog read wire, it's what I'm using to read. And I bring it over here, and it goes into A5 of the Arduino here. So that's what I'm doing for every pin. As you can see here, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just pulling the charges, and on this side it's the opposite. I'm pulling with the little wire. Where is it? I'm pulling this, pulling the positive, and then with the long orange wire, I'm pulling the negative from over here. So that's what happens to all of them. That is what the whole thing looks like. It is a bit different from my fritzing diagram, but again, to use a triple breadboard in real life is a lot more viable than a single, just because it's really cramped. And if I put my finger on one, I don't want to be touching the other one and heating it up, because that would just ruin it. So yes, here's a look at my setup. Okay, so I hope you found seeing my breadboard setup helpful, along with all my code and everything. If you want to use my code, it is on my blog. There is a link to my blog in the description down below, so click that and you'll end up here. If you don't want to re-watch my whole YouTube video to see what the output should look like if you're trying to do this on your own, you can click right here, and I have posted a animated GIF of me just touching some of the sensors, and I posted that online. Also, if you want to get to know how to use fritzing, if you're thinking, oh, it's such a panic, and you want to know how to use it, you can just click here, and it will bring you to my YouTube video that I actually made yesterday, and you can watch that, get caught up in fritzing, and you'll know how I make my stuff, how I drag the pins and all this. But you'll see another ER on Wednesday. I hope you watch it, and yeah, see you then.